Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. In this video tutorial, I want to demonstrate how you can run scenProc scripts in the batch runner. This functionality is mainly relevant if you have a script that can be tuned with some batch variables to make it run at different times with different data or for a different area. You could, for example, make a script and have it load a different shapefile with data each time to process that file into output images or output data using the same rules. Or you could have a script that is set up in such a way that you can pass the bounding box that is used to define the region that's being processed, and that way you can uh, process different areas with the same script. In the scenProc batch runner, you can then make the batch run that runs all those different variants of your script. So let's just have a quick look how that works. The window of the batch runner is defined in three sort of regions. At the top, you have the workers. We come to that in a bit, but those are the processes that do the actual work. They're sort of simplified versions of scenProc without the graphical user interface, but that can still process your script and create the data. Then in the middle, you have the queue. That's the queue of all the jobs that you still want to be processed. And then at the bottom, you have an overview of the finished jobs. So let's start by adding some jobs to the queue so that you get an idea how that works. So if I want to add a job to the queue, I need to select my script. And I'll just go to a sample script I made for this tutorial. It's a relatively simple script now to make it run quickly because I want to demonstrate the batch runner, not the script itself. But let's assume this is a script that has been defined in such a way that it can take different file names as input. Then you can use this mode to select all the files that you want to process. Like uh, maybe you have different shape files, or maybe you have different image files, or something that you want to process. You can then select all the files. In this case, I just select three scenProc scripts. That's not what you should do normally, but just for the demonstration. So I select those three files. I have the script. If I now press add, you see that there are three jobs in the queue. They're running the script autogen.spc, and as first batch variable, they're passing the three file names of the files I selected. Well, we can do something else as well. I can also say I want to process certain geographical areas. So by default, it's the entire world. But let's say I have a script that I want to run for the entire world, and I want to run it, well, let's do per train lot 4. Um, I can select if I want to have the town name as additional batch variable, and I can exclude water tiles so that in the middle of the ocean I'm not trying to do nothing. If I then press add, you now see that I have 700 scripts in my queue. They're all running the autogen script, and each time with a different bounding box that matches sort of one LOD for train tile. And the second batch variable that's passed to the script is the name of that tile in the sort of convention that Flight Simulator uses. So now I have a whole list of jobs that I want to run. I can save this queue in case I want to run it again later, or I can load it from disk. And now I'm ready to run all these jobs sort of in a row. For that, I need to have a worker. So I start up at least one worker process. And let me put the windows side by side. So I have the worker now, and if I select process queue, you see it starts to run the jobs. I'm going to disable the process again, but you see here in the output file, it's just running the script each time. It's passing the different variables, and you can see the bounding box is different every time. Yeah, and in this case, the script just loads one file. That's not really relevant here, but you can see it's doing all that. And once they're finished, you can see here in the list all the succeeded ones. You might think, okay, this is handy, but it's still a bit slow. I mean, I have 700 scripts here. That will take quite a while. I can speed things up by adding a second worker, or maybe later even a third worker, but let's do two for now. If I do two workers and I process the queue again, you see that both of them will get jobs to handle, and they're being sort of in parallel, they're processing all those scripts. And as you can see now, it's going a bit quicker already. We finished about 70, 80 scripts. There's still 600 in the queue, and it gives you an estimation that it expects to be done in a couple of minutes. I have to warn you, if you open a lot of workers, especially with a realistic script, it might drain your CPU resources or your memory quite quickly. So be careful not to open too many, as that might slow things down actually. But this way you can run a lot of scripts, passing them different batch variables to run for different files or different areas, and run them in parallel. So that's really helpful if you want to process a big area in scenProc. And there is one more thing that I also want to demonstrate, but let's first clear this up a bit. So this is sort of the basic way you can run the scripts, but there is a more advanced way in the batch runner as well, and that's called the workflow feeder. So we're going to open up that one here. And the workflow feeder is really intended for projects that are a bit more complex and that want to run different scripts sort of in an order to create the output. So let's imagine, I'm going to zoom in a bit, and as I'm Dutch, I'll take the Netherlands as example, that I have a project for the Netherlands. And I want to run that in LOD 7 tiles. So I want to define my area into a number of cells to process. And for each of these cells, I have a couple of scripts that I want to run. So I have a script to create autogen, I have a script to make photoreal scenery, and I have a script to create some XML bridges. And I want to run these scripts for those different areas. So first we need to, I quickly added the scripts already. We need to configure them. So we defined an LOD 7 sort of for the basic area. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all these tiles since I want to cover the whole country. Yep, those as well. And then here we have some islands. So these are the tiles that consist my project, in this case Netherlands. And each of them is a LOD 7 tile. Now let's assume that I want my autogen script is designed to be run at LOD 9. So that means that there's 16 autogen sort of jobs in one of those tiles. I run this script and I need to select which variables I want to pass to the script. And I'll pass the bounding box and I'll pass the LOD9 name that matches my script. Then for the photoreal, I can do the same. Well, let's imagine that I want to create the photoreal at LOD7 size. And I'm also passing the bounding box and the name. And then I have my XML bridges, and I'm going to do them at, let's say, LOD8. So now I've set up 3 scripts. Each of them run for a different sort of area, different size. uh, and each of them fit within those tiles. So now I can, let me see how I'm going to do this. I'll put this one next to the batch runner. Once I've set up this, and you can see here that it hasn't ran the scripts for any of the tiles yet. You can see that here in the tooltip. If I now press feed for the scripts, it will start running first the origin script, then the photoreal script, then the XML bridges script for that area. And once it's done, it goes to the next one, and it does exactly the same. So you can see it might go a bit quick, but you see it first runs the 16 origin scripts, then I get 4 XML bridges scripts, and there's actually one photoreal script in between, but it goes so quickly that you can hardly see it. So this gives me a lot of control how the scripts are being ran over a project that covers an entire country, or, and I know the Netherlands is small, maybe even a bigger area than that. And the real power comes in a bit when the script is done, because maybe I have been tuning my XML bridge script a bit. And let us wait till the script is finished running. But yeah, we have to wait a little bit for all the scripts to finish their job. It shouldn't take too long. What you see now is that I'm running all 3 scripts for all areas. Of course, the first time when you haven't run your project at all, that's what you typically want to do. But the real power of the workflow is that later on you can also selectively run certain areas again. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate in a bit. Okay, now my demo workflow is done. Of course, for a real project that could easily take hours to finish. But let's say, like I said, I've made some changes to my XML bridge script, so I want to run that again. Then I only select the XML bridge script to be active in the list of scripts. I can now select all the tiles and I do reset all tiles. And if I now hover on it, you say the origin and the photoreal script are still done, but the XML bridge script is reset to not ran. So if I do feed again now, it will only run the XML bridge script again for all the tiles. So that way, after I made some changes to one script, I just rerun that bit of the workflow, and then, yeah, sort of it is done. So in a complex project that's made up of all kind of different scripts, where you maybe first detect some vegetation, then create autogen, make some photoreal, etc., that allows you to selectively run certain bits. Of course, I can also do sort of the opposite. I can also say I have this tile here that I want to rerun completely. So now I just select reset that single tile and run all 3 scripts again. So I hope you see the flexibility this gives you in more complex projects to, yeah, sort of to manage what you're running, what you need to rerun, and also to see the progress of it. And to make it even more powerful, what I can also do, so we had Netherlands, I can have different groups as well. So I can make a second group that maybe said, hey, I have Belgium as well, where I can select all the tiles that are part of the country of Belgium. I think that. And now I can suddenly run the same set of scripts for a different country. So I can really sort of maybe have 2 different products in my catalog being processed with same set of scripts. The only difference might be that I maybe have like a custom attribute that's called Belgium in one and that's called Netherlands in the other. Let's say we'll do NL and BE. Then I can pass that custom attribute to my script. For example, I pass the custom group attribute 1 to the photo real script. Then it will pass NL when I'm running the Dutch group. It will pass BE when I'm running the Belgium group. And that way my script can maybe, based on that attribute, select data from different files or from a different location and process them slightly differently while still having the basic same script for different projects. I do realize that this might have been a bit, quick and maybe also complex to grasp with the tiles, the scripts, the groups, and how they all work together. I do encourage you to have a look at the manual because there it's explained as well. And if you have any questions about this feature, of course, feel free to ask them in the forum and I will be happy to help you. Thanks for watching.